Mumbai desperately needs open spaces, and the BMC is desperately trying to get its policy right this time around. This policy was up for hearing today, but it has not made citizens happy. What went wrong? What were the clauses in this new policy? My colleague Disha Shah got her hands on an exclusive copy of the draft, and she joins us with all the details. So, Disha, tell us, what exactly does the new policy say?
That's right. With the new policy on open spaces, BMC is trying to give residents and public the power to adopt any open space or plot in the city of Mumbai. Let me tell you that the policy is not yet out, but we have gotten a copy of this, and there are few clauses which are new if you compare it with the previous one. So first and foremost, like I said, that the first priority will be given to the local resident associations to adopt any plot, unlike in the previous clause where the power was given to the corporators and politicians, but this won't be the case anymore. Secondly, unlike the previous policy where the agreement was signed for good 20 to 30 long years, this won't be the case anymore with the new policy, because the initial plot will be given on a 5-year adoption agreement to the selected party, which will be renewed on an annual basis. Another important criteria that we talk about, that the public people are not being able to access the public land, which is the gymkhanas, the clubhouses, because you have to pay a certain amount to be a member. So this won't be the case anymore, because the new clause, the new policy says that no construction will be allowed, no construction of gymkhanas or clubhouses will be allowed on the plot. Moreover, if you have any open space like an open park or garden in your vicinity, you can walk in any time from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. because the new policy has also removed restrictions on the time. Plus moreover, if you are a senior citizen and children age below 12 years, you don't have to pay anything, and the entry is absolutely free. And lastly, an important criteria is that the plots which have been given on a caretaker basis before 31st December 2014, that will remain untouched, but henceforth, but the plots will be given, but no plots will be given now on the caretaker basis once the policy is implemented. However, when I spoke to a couple of resident associations, they were not quite happy with this development. They had put forth certain suggestions and objections, and they have asked BMC to particularly look after all this matter, because they say that they do not have the sponsorship, they don't have that kind of money to take care of any particular plot. So basically this policy has been passed to the Improvement Society, and hopefully we should see some light on this by end of this week.
Disha Shah there with the details of the draft policy. Thank you so much for bringing us that report. Now, Disha has spoken to a few resident associations. Let's get more perspectives on the show on this issue. Then we are being joined by an activist from Observer Research Foundation, Mr. Rishi Agarwal. Mr. Rishi, thank you so much for being with us here on the news on Magic Bricks. Now, my first question to you is really simple. You know, I'm fond of playing cricket in my free time. Will this policy give me back the rights to my playground then?
No, I'm sure it will give back. I mean, just because it's contentious doesn't mean that it's a very bleak scenario. It's just that the concern being raised is valid, but you need not worry about, I guess, your ground where you play cricket.
See, the reason why I asked you the question was because despite the draft, the new draft, the fact that there's a policy out on open spaces that's likely to be out soon, citizens don't seem happy with this new policy. Why do you think they're not being happy with this new policy?
There have been some very bad experiences in the past. The last time around the adoption policy came in, there was also a caretaker clause, and that was quite heavily misused in the case of big grounds. And that allowed the creation of gymkhanas and clubs. And over a period of time, it was only people who could pay membership for these clubs who could get into the open spaces. Places like MIG Club and Matoshri and Prabodhankar Club. So that left a really bad taste, and the city has, in a sense, been in a very vigilant mode ever since then. I mean, in 2007, the policy was scrapped. And so this past experience keeps everybody very cautious, and that's why everybody is very hesitant, most of the civil society organizations, to create any kind of private interest on public spaces.
So, I mean, now that the last time this came around, it left a bad taste in people's mouth. Do you think that the new policy will be free of those issues, or if not, how will the new policy be able to resolve the issues of the past?
See, what happens is, I think before we do anything, we have to fundamentally establish a rationale. Why are we doing it? And in this case, why are we coming out with a new policy? And as it was rightly pointed out in the roundtable discussion which was held at ORF yesterday, that instead of an adoption policy, what we need really is an open spaces policy. And adoption should happen only in the case where the municipal corporation does not have any money at all and it is poor. And it says that we want to have private people come in with their money, which is certainly not the case with the municipal corporation. It is one of the richest municipal corporations in Asia, in South Asia. And we are unnecessarily getting into this whole thing. I mean, why get into being suspicious and always cautious whether the private person who's coming in will be good or bad? The total cost which will be required for maintaining all the open spaces in Mumbai would be 100 crores, which would roughly cover 1,200 acres of land. And 100 crores is really a pittance for MCGM, considering the amount of budget they have and the amount of money which lapses every year. So I think it is in that context that the concerns have to be understood.
All right, Rishi, now let me ask you this. We hear that the policy has now been sent to the Improvement Society. How will that help, according to you?
See, what happened was in the discussion which was held yesterday, I think almost 15 to 20 prominent civil society members of the city participated. And even Mr. Ashish Shelar, the Mumbai BJP president, and Mr. Srinivas, additional municipal commissioner, were present. And they took a keen note of all the concerns which were being raised. And thankfully have decided to send the policy back to the improvement committee to deliberate much more. Actually, it was supposed to be passed in the general body today, but because of the concerns raised yesterday, it has gone back to the improvement committee, and we are quite hopeful that a lot of those concerns will be looked into.
Okay, so, I'm being hopeful along with you, but tell us, by when can we expect clarity on this issue, on the new open space policy?
I think it shouldn't take very long, but still, at least as of today, there was no clarity on that. But my reading is that within 30 days, within a month, we should have clarity on this.
All right, so you're saying that a final policy that will address all the issues of the past and the future as well will be ready in a month's time, according to you?
According to me, I don't know how long. I mean, it's finally up to the politicians and the bureaucracy, and you know how it can
That's right.
drag on forever.
That's right. Rishi Agarwal of Observer Foundation, thank you so much for joining us here on the news and sharing your views and perspectives.